My name is Ebere Okereke. Everybody tends to call me Dr. Ebere. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Africa Public Health Foundation. Tonight, we've had a little, very small reception to first of all acknowledge the journey, because like I said, we were kicking off just as the pandemic was locking us down. And we've managed to survive that phase, not just to survive, to thrive. So we're now in the stage of relaunching the next phase. How do we build long-term sustainability to support Africa CDC and Africa in general? And we wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge the partners we already have, to thank them, and to tell them what we intend to do next. And I always say, quoting the founder of the first polio vaccine, the reward for work done well is the opportunity to do more. And as we take on that opportunity to do more, we're inviting our current partners and future partners to join us on that journey. And so it's an honor, it's for me to lead this organization at this crucial phase, but I only lead a small team of people. The organization is more than the sum of its parts.
My name is Bernard Haupiku. I am one of the council of this great foundation, and I am chairing it at the moment. Also, as one of the founder of this foundation, we are here today to do a small celebration and just get to know each other and see how best we can support Africa and African healthcare system. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa Public Health Foundation has done remarkably well since its inception in 2019. It has inspired many and has been truly transformative, especially in the last 3 years. Since 2019, as we all know, which was the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, APHF has become a vital link in the African and global health or public health ecosystem. We have grown to be a noticeable and a real player and a reliable partner in resource mobilization for public health in Africa. As a matter of fact, we had to hit the ground running, ladies and gentlemen. But to briefly take you back to our brief history, which is not so long, and refer to what constitutes us, and that is our charter. Our foundation was founded or established in 2019 and commenced its work in 2020 at the peak of the global pandemic. But we put it clear in our charter that we do exist for one main reason, and that is to form partnership with various stakeholders, mobilize resources and investment in support of Africa CDC public and critical health programs on the continent, and also to strengthen African public health architecture. In our recent midterm strategic plan workshop, which we had here in Nairobi in October, towards the end of last year, which is still work in progress, by the way. Please don't quote me because we may change our vision. We have basically 4 main words in our vision. And I like short visions because people can develop a page and they call it a vision. It's basically an assignment. We want a safer, a healthier, productive, and prosperous Africa. That is our mission, our vision. As it can clearly be seen, ladies and gentlemen, Africa Public Health Foundation is a pan-African foundation, nothing more or nothing less. Even though we do stretch beyond the continental borders, to other parts of the world and especially in the diaspora. As I have said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a man of long speeches. I would like at this juncture then, as a way of reflecting a little bit on our history and where we come from, to invite at least one or two persons just to say one word in the middle of my speech and reflect on where we come from as we entered that dark period of COVID-19 pandemic, working, building a ship while sailing at the same time. And with little or no resources, you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen. So through concerted efforts, strong support from partners, and will and determination, we managed to get Africa Public Health Foundation on the ground and move on. It happened at the time not only of the ravaging of the world by the COVID-19 pandemic, but in our context in Africa, also at a time when systems of health and all that is to do with health, it's in a weaker and fragile position. I remember when I attended the ministerial COVID-19 meeting in 2020 here, or in Addis Ababa, there were only 2 laboratories that could do a test for a coronavirus. Only 2 or 3, they become 4. Amit, you can correct me. Today, as we speak, I think there are more than maybe even 10 or so laboratories that do not only test for COVID-19, but do genetic sequencing. So that means progress and capacity, ladies and gentlemen. And we are on that trajectory. Of course, it's a concern that at this stage, on the continent of more than 1.3 billion people, more capacity in terms of knowledge acquisition, technical know-how, I am told that we still have less than 1% of vaccine need in Africa being made in Africa. That is a challenge to all of us. I don't want to go into the detail of healthcare infrastructure or the professional brain drain that we are seeing on the continent. I just assume all of us are fully aware of this type of challenge, and hence the existence of this foundation and in support of Africa CDC, which is the African Union Health Agency. There are many others coming up. So with that, and perhaps just to, before I give my friend a chance to come on the stage, I would want to put it clear here to everyone that we are mobilizing resources in support of Africa CDC health program, public health program. And that, we believe, is in line with Africa CDC or African Union new public health order. We believe it's in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. We believe this is in line with Africa we want, the Agenda 2063. So we believe we are in line. Let me now invite my good friend, Dr. Amit Taka.
Thank you, Bernard, and thank you, everyone, and thank you, Sarah, for giving me the support. Karibu, Kenya. Let me start by first saying, those who are not from Kenya, can you just raise up your hand so I can see all the people who made the effort of coming? You know, you're from Kenya. And Ebere, you can't raise your hand. So all of you, all the guests, I want to say Karibu Sana. I see so many familiar faces, so many brilliant organizations. Onyinye is here, Mercy is here, Maraki, Lisa, Gitahi, Adam, and so many of you that we know. And hey, Monikai, and so many, everybody's in the healthcare space. Magda is here, all the council members are here. Let me say Karibu Sana. Karibu Sana, Kenya, and it is really, Bernard, an honor to do a reflection as I've been asked to do. Exactly 4 years ago, in Addis Ababa, at a summit just concluded in Addis, where some of you were there, and 4 years ago, I know some of you were also there with us. I know Ade was there, Ayemi. I was just talking to the EcoBank team. He was on the panel. In 2019, the president of Rwanda, his term was coming to an end. And one of his pet projects, when he was asked, was health. And those of you who remember February 2019, ALM was actually launched. ALM is Africa Leadership Meeting. And investing in health became a real key subject. This is before we found the virus. There was no pandemic. Remember those days? Or you forgot? It became clear that not only governments have to put more money for health, but partners, many of you here, have to put more money for health. But we also need more health for the money. So ALM was launched. At that particular point, John Kengasong was leading, as you know, Africa CDC from within the heart of AU. Her Excellency Amira El Fadil was structuring step by step the model Africa CDC should follow in partnership. 3 months later, many of us, some of who are here, were called for a meeting in structuring what could be the best model for resource mobilization and grants management to improve public health in Africa. We had 16 ideas, 16. 8 of them were not practical for Africa. And within the other 8 ideas, we had to structure how we would be able to receive money and grant money in the most easy manner without bureaucracy. We were given marching orders. We were told in 3 months, you need to come up with a short list of the what and the how and the where. Countries were put on the table. Ghana was there, I remember. South Africa was there. Kenya was there. All that. Little did we know that the president of Rwanda was watching what we were presenting, and within a month we were told you have to launch. By the time it was July 2019, we had the idea, and debates were around whether calling it the Africa CDC Foundation or Africa Public Health Foundation. The location of Nairobi was clear. The structure was clear. Like Bernard mentioned, the charter was clear. We needed 5-6 champions to be brought in to flag this off so that all the governments were in line. What happened? World Economic Forum Africa invited Africa CDC at Cape Town. You remember that trip? I told Bernard, jump on the flight. I told Ambassador Ori, jump on the flight now. John Kengasong took us with many of you who were there at the launch. If Gitai is here, he would tell you. The idea at the World Economic Forum was to talk exactly what Bernard says, partnership. So we launched on 6th of September 2019 in Cape Town with a clear structure, mandate, and a council that had clear description, having a CEO and having a founder with one provisor, that there will be a protector. The protector in the charter was Africa CDC because every coin we got was to be aligned in the objectives of how Africa CDC sees health to be elevated. The first $30,000 came from BD Foundation. Thank you. Give them a clap. So, you remember that. It was a small amount. I don't know, Barry, if you remember. I don't know if is it 30, 40, 50,000?
Are they
But-
here?
Yeah?
The BD Foundation?
Are you guys here? But anyway, it was the first check. Do you guys know how difficult it is to get the first check? You've started all your businesses, right? We got the first check in that year. And we started thinking about where to open a bank account. And you remember our friends in Mauritius. We have, Alain is here. Friends from Mauritius. All fiduciary responsibilities were structured because we were told one thing. In our APHF, every dollar in and every dollar out must be shown. Nothing should be going. And by the way, all council members were pro bono. So you better give these guys a round of applause. Let me tell you, everybody who worked for APHF during that time not a single coin was given to them for the work done. They do this out of their heart for making health better in Africa. Commendable. Monique, give them a round of applause. Then we went to the second. I think one big leap was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Honestly, hats off. Sarah, here, putting all the pieces together. And we needed to get it going. So as Africa Health Business, our second marching order, we got 3 marching orders. One was form it. Second is run it. And third, hand over it. So the second one, when they run it, Sarah and I and some of the team members worked so hard. Remember the proposals, the structures? Sarah put the whole thing and made it very clear to BMGF on how the money is going to come in, what it's going to be used for, and how impactful it will be. It wasn't a joke. But what she did, she got $1 million right in the bank. Tap, straight in. Bank started getting better. Bernard started getting stressed. How am I going to approve some money in, money out? How is it going to go?
Where's our bank?
Where is the bank? Where is the token? Where is the OTP? These things are not working. There's no internet. Payments, where should we? And the idea was to help fragile countries become stronger. And the motion of how we were going to use the grants is to make sure wherever there was weakness, we make a difference and make healthcare stronger. It was such a wonderful experience. And I tell you that COVID, when it hit, it doubled the problem of a startup. Remember, APHF is a startup. We are together in 2019, December. By the time the plans of 2020 were being placed, a startup had some money, a startup had a council, it had 1 staff. This was, Sarah was interim CEO, with a clear mandate that as we move on, we have a strong CEO and a strong council to make it happen. And now COVID hit. So do you think council members can travel? There was lockdown. We told Mauritius, your team, start giving us virtual meetings. People had to log on. Some of you didn't have Zoom accounts before pandemic. You didn't even know what Zoom was. And through that entire process, Sarah and many of our team members started building APHF on 2020 step by step with one last marching order, hand over, so that APHF can stand alone. How proud we were to reach that stage and to hand over. We felt really good is to be here, that APHF is no longer an infant that needs feeding, but is now standing firm with some strong characters out here like Ebere as a CEO here. Salute. And some sterling council members with Francisco having done so much work in what you call the handover to the process of making it stand. That interim period, Francisco, wasn't easy for you. You made many trips. You held fort after Sarah. So from our side as Africa Health Business, we wish you all the best. You have our support. We hope to bring you more supporters so we can see your vision coming to fruition. Thank you.
It's working, right? You can hear me? And I think my reflection, thank you so much, Amit. You covered most of the logistical stuff. I appreciate it. But I think for me, I just wanted to reflect on the personal part of it. When we started this journey, I think we had just locked down.
Yes.
I think in Nairobi, I don't know in other African countries if the lockdown happened right away. But it was in March. Imagine everything locks down. The first call I had was Dr. Bernard. And he says, we have nothing, Sarah. Just make it work. You have the skills. Can you do this? Let's just get to work. I trust you. Get to work. And the same thing, the first call I had with Dr. John was the same. Just get to work. We trust you. We know you can do this work and do it. And so that leadership and that support and Amit and the team and everybody was really strong. And then what happened to me that made this whole work, as Dr. Bernard talked about, that it's a personal mission for those of us who are public health practitioners, who are leaders. The work of APHF really becomes very personal. So in 2 months, my father gets diagnosed with COVID, severe form of it, and within 3 weeks he passes away. Right? So you can just imagine, and I really appreciate, now I'm going to get emotional, the board members, Amit, and the team really holding me up, because I had to go back to the US where my father was dying and stay there to work from there and really try to make the case for why APHF should be funded, why we want to support the health systems and the pandemic at the time. And program support in the hands of people, not just the Africa CDC in Addis Ababa, but all the African countries that were struggling with it. So for me, it was really easy to tell the story of why APHF should be funded at the level that it needed to be funded, and why everyone, and including those of you who are here with us, should really think of this kind of entity as really what the continent needs. So it's not just the AU, it's not just us as practitioners, but it's really us as Africans who really have to support and benefit from the work that this work is doing. And I second what Amit said. Nothing gives me more pride than seeing what has happened from the work that we started. And thank you, Barry, for inviting me today to be part of this. I'm really delighted. I wanted to continue to congratulate you for the work that you're doing. We're very proud of you, and keep doing what you're doing, because we need it. We need the work.
Thank you. Thank you.
What happened in the past, ladies and gentlemen, and I would want everything. We have a keynote.
Dear colleagues, excellencies, members of the Governing Council of APHF, dear senior representatives of government, embassies, development partners, private sector and philanthropies, dear delegates, colleagues, dear friends, please let me first apologize because I cannot be with you tonight. I love to be with you. I would love to celebrate this success with you. But as you know, we had the AU Assembly and we still have some meetings to finalize a number of decisions. But please let me share with you the commitment, the vision from Africa CDC based on the guidance from our head of state to build a world-class, self-sustaining and agile institution that must guide public health in Africa. We are safeguarding the health of 1.4 billion Africans. Our strategic plan 2023-2027 is ambitious, with a number of results we want to achieve for the benefit of all Africans. You will receive today, some of you tomorrow, the annual report 2023 of Africa CDC, and you'll see what we achieved together. Yes, because what we achieved, it's thanks to the support that we are getting from all of you. More than what I'm sharing with you now, we just finalized the AU Assembly. A number of outcomes from this assembly will transform the public health landscape in Africa. Let me share with you some of these outcomes. The first one, we got a clear guidance from our head of state to finalize the pandemic treaty. As you know, we learned from COVID, and it's time for us as Africa to come with one voice and to ensure that this pandemic treaty will be led by equity in all areas. By approving the Common African Position, our head of state are giving to our negotiators the power to finalize the pandemic treaty. The second one is about a game changer that we call Continental Pool Procurement Mechanism. We learned from COVID, but we learned also from other continents like Europe that a Continental Pool Procurement Mechanism will allow all African countries, regardless their social and economic status, even political status, to get access to quality product. The third one, we are talking about the local manufacturing that we call the game changer, the second independence of Africa. We had a program called Partnership for African Vaccine Manufacturing, APHF. Our head of state, they decided during the last AU Assembly to upgrade this PFM to another harmonized platform to consider all health commodities. We are talking about vaccines, we are talking about medicines, we are talking about diagnostics, we are talking about all other medical supplies. Africa CDC will lead this agenda at continental level. Africa CDC will make sure that from 1% of vaccines, we can reach at least 60% in 2040. From 30% of medicines, we can reach at least 60%. For less than 5% of diagnostics, we can leave that level. Excellencies, dear colleagues, how can we achieve this ambitious goal that we have? We can achieve that if we have resources. This is why we believe that APHF, as our esteemed resource mobilization partner, will play a pivotal role to facilitate attracting resources to Africa CDC. Please let me be clear on that. My full commitment to have APHF working closely with Africa CDC. I had a meeting with APHF colleagues in Zambia. A fantastic meeting that supported us to finalize the agreement. This agreement was sent a few weeks ago to African Union Commission, the Office of Legal Counsel. On daily basis, we are following up with the Commission. On weekly basis, we are following up with the senior management of the Commission. We understand that it was the period of a number of meetings in African Union. We believe that this agreement will be out very soon and will sign. I committed to APHF colleagues that this one will never change. Tonight's reception is an opportunity for us to introduce our flagship initiatives. to all of our key partners. For us to be together and to understand what is the vision, what we are doing or want to do together, and what we want to achieve together. I want to express my gratitude to all of you for being here today. I want to share with you my excitement to see that you are supporting us to move forward with this agenda of a strong Africa CDC. Even if I missed this afternoon, but be assured that I'm with you. And I want to thank you for this remarkable journey. And I want to wish to all of you enjoyable and very good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening to you all. A good evening to you all. It must be a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, because most of the time and the privilege to share with the doctors today is unique. And one of the things that's unique is that when I come and I meet doctors, they always tell me, don't take wine, don't eat meat, don't take fish, don't take soda, and they say only take water. So I was telling the chair that it's very nice that when a doctor allows us to take wine. And then he has said his specialty is an aesthetic surgeon. So in case there's a need to wake someone up, he has the know-how to do it. So I think that is a very good way. I'm very privileged to have been invited as a guest at this partner fundraiser awareness event. I would like to express my sincere and heartfelt gratitude to APHF for extending this invite to EcoBank, acknowledging us as your partner bank, and suggesting that I come here to share with you as your speaker. Thank you very much for that. About what I'll talk about today, we'll focus more on the passion that I've seen evident in APHF, the founders, the secretariat, and all the partners. Indeed, it's very unique, and it's that personal commitment and passion. I think it carries you the long distance. So I was sharing again with Chairman Dr. Bernard that I became a banker personally when I was 9 years old. And so I don't find banking stressing because it's been something that I started doing at 9. And when I was 9 years old, definitely I was not doing banking by computer. So I started banking because I used to work in my mother's shop. And I was keeping for her debtors and credits as a record book because she was running a shop and selling goods on credit. So I started learning the characters of those who were paying her and who were not paying her. And since then, I have been in the lending business. It is my prayer that this occasion serves its purpose as we network, celebrate, get to know each other, and continue to commit to the purpose of APHF. EcoBank is happy to be a partner bank in Kenya, and more importantly, we look forward to Pan-Africa relationship with bigger, better, wider presence in 35 countries. In the 35 countries where EcoBank has its presence, we represent, the 35 countries where EcoBank has presence represent about 70% of the population of Sub-Saharan Africa. We directly bank about, again, 34 million customers or households across those 35 countries. So I may be correct to estimate that EcoBank has direct and immediate indirect relationship with at least 1/3 of the population in Africa. There are many instances when we have used our network access to the rural communities to promote the social good, and I will mention a few of those. in my speech later. APHF vision of safer, healthier, productive, and prosperous Africa connects very well with EcoBank's vision of economically empowering communities. I have had propositions that APHF may change or do something about the vision. Then I may request that as you consider that, safer remains, healthier remains, productive remains, prosperous remains, and we will see what changes. Because it connects deeply. Economically empowered communities, which has been our founding vision as EcoBank, make better health choices and therefore generally have access to better healthcare programs. On the other hand, as Dr. Amit has said, and coincidentally I'm saying that, it has been proven that it is easier to engage healthy communities economically and empower them much easily. So we connect very deeply, Dr. Amit, with that part of your talk. Oh, indeed, in life, it is always health first, both physical and mental, and then everything else is generally good. Through EcoBank Foundation and other bodies of the bank, we have also directly supported healthcare initiatives in Africa. These initiatives are many and diverse, but I will mention a few. Currently, to promote fight against malaria, we launched Zero Malaria Business Leaders Initiative, which we execute jointly with several of our partners. This initiative mobilizes business support towards eradicating malaria. And in the last 12 months, we have spent about $1.3 million in some countries, particularly Uganda and Benin, which are most ravaged by malaria, towards this initiative. So I would love some accolade for EcoBank on that. Malaria is indeed a very big problem in sub-Saharan Africa. And for those of us who are born in sub-Saharan Africa, and in particular malaria-prone regions, you can sometimes know that the difference between what you became today and what your friend did not become was that probably suffered malaria, probably the mother, when was carrying the unborn, suffered malaria, and you, by some small chance, you are lucky that you are not the one that came to. APHF formed at the time that we had a misfortune globally, the COVID-19 pandemic. At that point, EcoBank, through the AU CDC COVID initiative, as a group, we put $3 million in that fund. Thank you. And having done that, when the world was locked down, we used our digital access to the rural household in Africa to make sure that the support funds reached the most needy, the most rural communities in Africa. And thank you. And this speaks where I say that we sometimes use access of 35 million households in Africa to promote some social welfare. Put it to context, some of the biggest world social media platforms like CNN has about 22 million followers. So then EcoBank assists to socially reach these people instantly, immediately, with the correct message, faster than you would probably get in any other channel. Some of the things we do which may not look medical but are indeed medical is our focus on women banking. And a part of the non-financial products that we put in our women banking is advisory and teaching. Our main objective for women banking is to economically empower women and in turn enable and make them become better healthcare providers to their families and participants. I always give a story that access to knowledge and empowerment can make a difference and choices in life. And I always give a story that probably today I stand here because one day when my grandfather came home early from grazing cows, one of my aunties who was working in a mission center came to fetch one of the younger brothers to go and help her do a household chores where she was a servant at the missionary house. My grandfather had the misfortune of coming back home earlier that day, and he was grabbed to go and help with my aunt who was busy with the household chore. In the process, he got a chance to go to school. In the process, he got a chance to raise a healthy father who raised a healthy son who is me today. Thank you. So I reflect back when I meet some of my cousins who may not be as healthy as me, and I realize sometimes that the difference was just that my grandfather is the one who came home early that day. That's how small an incident, which I'm told took place in 1946, becomes significant today. And so small things matter, no matter what it is. Again, on a personal story, I was born and grew up in a generation that was most affected by the HIV/AIDS pandemic. These are people who lived most of their teenage and youthful lives in 1980s and early 2000s. I suspect we lost up to 10% of my generation. And I do think, I don't need a statistic, but I would imagine that in the class where I was of 80 people in primary school, I can count about 16 to 20 who are not here today. I don't know what numbers 20 of 80 is, but it's more than, it's 5%. And when I was in the university in a class of 200 people, I can again count about 30 or 20 classmates who we lost due to pandemic. Again, you can work out the number of 30 in a class of 20. So there's chance, and sometimes it's a chance, but such chances could be just where there was someone available to teach you about life. It could just be whether there was someone available to give you timely and right health care. These are some of the areas where APHF comes in. And the world will become a better place when we eliminate, reduce, and manage impact of disease in our communities. I am very personally connected, therefore, having lived through those experiences and shared them, to the work that APHF and its partners are doing. May God continue to bless this work and the partners who support it. I wish to thank you very much. I wish to thank you very much for the commitment, funding chair, and the founding members for all that work that you have done. I know you are in Kenya, and for those visiting us, that you come to discuss about healthcare, disease controls, which most times takes you, though, in the places where the faces are sad, but I also invite you to find time to enjoy the good health with those you see around and enjoy our country, Nairobi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm not going to talk anymore. We have a few more minutes of your time. Please talk, mingle, eat, drink. As you said, this is one time when a doctor is going to say, yes, it's okay to have red wine and it's okay to have meat. Thank you all for coming and joining us today. Thank you very much.